was one episode where I had pneumonia and temporary. I was like throwing up in the buckets between takes and then having to turn on the sort of the Jay kind of charm. Everything's okay. Look over here, smoke and mirrors kind of dance. And I just thought, I felt like a real actor. Yeah, really having to switch gears quickly there.
But we're going to start, as I introduce to you, the class of Degrassi. Let's hear it for them, everybody. All right, let's hear it. All right, Degrassi folks.
Hey, all. Hello.
Hello.
So, we were talking before you guys all came in here, and one of the craziest things that I find about Degrassi and the legacy of this show is the staying power in the States.
Yeah.
Was that surprising to you guys? Did you know that coming in? Because you guys are, the new class, the new students coming in. Were you aware of the fever that there was here in the States for the show?
I think not initially. We, felt like this very small little homegrown Canadian show from up north, and then the show got sold to, I think it was Nickelodeon.
Division of Nickelodeon.
Yeah. We started sort of traveling out, down, doing little signings and things like that, and the sheer love that we got from the crowds of people who came out. It was totally unexpected.
And the volume of people that came out. Too. Yeah. There were like we didn't know anything, or maybe I myself wasn't in the know of mall tours and how big a deal they are to growing the fan base for lots of up and comers like pop stars. Britney Spears did mall tours. I had no idea. Us being in our little Canadian bubble and coming down to like some hot spots around the U.S. and seeing thousands of people lined up for us who had driven 10 hours and then slept in line and then waited for another 6 hours to get there, 20 seconons with us. It was really surreal. Yeah.
So you're saying you guys didn't do that at the Eaton Center?
No, not so much. Not so much.
Did not, no.
No, they didn't care.
Yeah, like Canadians, we were talking about this earlier, they're like, oh, cool, you're on Degrassi. And it's so relaxed. So the magnitude of what we did when we came down those first few times, it was like, oh my God, okay, this is something completely unexpected and really, really awesome.
Right. Now, have you guys all gotten to work with it's Kevin Smith? So talk to me about that. When you get celebrities or people that we ourselves might look up to, and then they're like, and they're coming up here, and as the kids say, if I'm saying this right, they're gassing you up. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to be skibbity, everybody.
Oh, my gosh.
You're doing better than me. I've never heard that term before. So
I heard the gassing literally today.
Okay.
I didn't use it right.
Me too, right now. Yeah.
What was that all that like for you guys?
I still remember, I was like not a huge Kevin Smith fan, but I did know him. And my first day coming into set when they were there, we walked up, parked in the back lot and walked up the stairs to our dressing rooms that, the same ritual as any other day arriving on set. And Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes are just loitering, as they should be, on these front steps. And I was like, just like 7 a.m, I'm tired. Okay, let's get it together. And hey, really nice to meet you guys. I'm Shane. And Kevin's like, yeah, dude, I know who you are. I'm like, you don't get to say that, man. No, I know who you are. That's not the way this works. So that's my memory of meeting those two. And yeah,
that's absolutely mind blowing. You guys?
Yeah, the first time I saw them, they walked in. We were going to do a press conference at the studio, and they walked around the corner into like the craft services area, which was right outside the cafeteria where we did the press conference. Mm-hmm. And I was a huge fan, so I was just like, oh my God, there he is! It was so cool. But they're so down to earth, so funny, so kind.
Yeah, they seem to be like salt of the earth guys. We've had the pleasure of meeting them a few times, but it always just amazes me the love that they have for Canada, and they seem to be almost the presidents of the Degrassi fan club out of America.
Champions of the Degrassi franchise for sure. Yeah,
and I will say, like, I think that now, I mean, I've had a long time to reflect on this, many years, but like, what is it that brings? It's almost as if Degrassi is this thing that exists beyond any one individual. It's this self-sustaining entity, this story that we all love, we all watch and enjoy and see ourselves reflected in this material. It doesn't belong to any one of us. It's kind of owned publicly. And so, of course, Kevin Smith and Jay Muse are going to love it. Of course, like we saw the Nick Kroll reference, you know. Yeah. So it's just part of the public zeitgeist. It's just a contribution to the world, and we just got to kind of be a part of that for a little piece of the time.
Mm-hmm. So I would have to imagine, like, not only is it mind-blowing being a part of, like you said, the zeitgeist and just this pop phenomenon that is huge in the States. But what about amongst like your fellow colleagues and other actors? Like, what is that like? Because I would imagine, much like Kevin Smith, a lot of Degrassi fans are going to be like established actors. They're like, yo, I watch this on the down low. Who I guess my question is, who's the one person that surprised you the most? That was like, yo, I watch
Sarah Silverman.
Yeah.
No way. Yeah. I would love to hear how that conversation went. I just don't know if there's kids in the audience.
Well, I don't have the personal like conversation with her, but she did put out on her show a little comedy clip. She references Degrassi, like a few characters. So you kind of go like, she watches Degrassi, and there's like little tip-offs, right? Pop culture tip-offs. Like
love it.
Yeah.
Cool. There was a signing that a few of us, I don't think either of you two were there, but in LA, and there was also like very, very long line. It was like straight out of the movies. We were, as soon as the doors opened from our limo, security had to like clear a path through this screaming crowd. I hadn't seen anything like that before. And we signed for about 6 hours straight with a little break. And we met David Hasselhoff's wife and kids, and said like David was in line with us, but he just couldn't wait anymore. He had somewhere else. You were there for that.
You
okay.
never remember me.
Sorry, Mel. Sorry. Yeah, there are many memories of you I have to block out to just be able to get on with my normal day. Yeah.
I feel like I need to move. I don't feel safe anymore.
Yeah, sorry. I don't like being in the middle anyway. His head swiveling. So.
It would have been Nick Kroll for me, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, of all them, because I didn't even know this until a few weeks ago when Shane told me, and we watched the episode that he'd done. And I was just like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing
where
ever.
did he reference you? Like Big Mouth or something?
No, he did. Mike, do you want to take this one?
Show.
Yeah.
They did an entire spoof called Wheels Ontario.
Yeah.
And
I wonder who that was about.
Yeah.
Was Kendrick Lamar on that?
Yeah, it was like so surreal watching that. It was probably like it was a full episode basically. He had just dedicated almost an entire episode to. And
Nick Kroll played like a new kid to Degrassi. Essentially, it wasn't called Degrassi, but like they all had typical Canadian accents on. It was hilarious.
Everybody was called Gord. It was weird. See, nobody laughs at that. We're the only Canadians on here, obviously. It was Doug and Gord. No.
Deep cut.
Deep cut. So, folks, I want you to know I am not here to maximize your time. I know a lot of you are huge fans of the show. So if you do have a question, feel free to raise your hand. I'll come over with the microphone. You guys could ask, or you can just ask it from where you are, all right? C'est bon? Is that good?
C'est bon.
C'est bon.
Let's do it.
Está bien. Está bien. All right. Thank you. So, guys, you guys always get asked about Degrassi all the time. I want to switch things up just a little bit for you. If I could put my genie hat on and snap my fingers, and I could put you guys in any show, any movie. What is like? What's at the top of your? I have to, like, I became an actor to play this.
You mean already existing project?
Whatever. Yeah.
I think my favorite TV show of this past year is Ripley.
Okay.
Which is based on the talented Mr. Ripley.
Right.
And it's just this beautifully shot, kind of like art house style, black and white, incredible script, incredible acting.
Is that Adam Scott?
I think
or the guy that played Moriarty on Sherlock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
Andrew Scott. I'm sorry.
Andrew.
Yes.
The guy, the priest from Fleabag. Yeah. He's so freaking good, and everybody in the film it's like a film. It's a TV show, but yeah, so good. So yeah, just something like that. A really well written role.
to sink my teeth into? You guys?
For me, it would be a toss-up between Peaky Blinders or Breaking Bad.
Nice. I love it.
Like anything, if I at any point in my life could have just one scene with a Bryan Cranston or with a Cillian Murphy or a Tom Hardy.
Did you watch Taboo?
I actually
Taboo. If you like Peaky Blinders,
I got distracted by some of that, but it's a great one. Yeah.
And if you like those, there's one more I will definitely suggest, and this is probably my favorite show of all those, like in that genre, is a TV show called Warrior. It was based on Bruce Lee's teachings. It was on Max.
I've heard of Warrior. Actually.
So good. I'm sorry. What about you? What would you like to be on?
Oh my gosh, my answer's so different. It would be Glee. I would totally do Glee.
I love it. Are you a singer?
Yeah, the theater kid in me would just go absolutely batshit to do something like that. Yeah,
absolutely. I can see that. You would kick Sarah right off that. Was that her name, Sarah?
Oh my God, I'm blanking right now.
I'm forgetting her name too. Yeah, the main girl.
I would totally just be like, get me in there, kid.
Now, did you ever get an opportunity to do that on Degrassi? Did you get a chance to like?
We were all like musical at some point.
We all played or sang or performed music on Degrassi. Yeah.
Amazing. All right.
Some of us in multiple iterations of bands, and
and Mike and I just like I'm a drummer. Mike's a drummer. I have a couple. My best friend in real life is a drummer. And much like what my best friend and I always had to go through, there's only one drum set. Everyone wants to play. And on the show, we were fighting for the drums as well.
That's true. We were competing drummers.
But you still have the best scene of any of the drum scenes on the show, as far as I'm concerned, where you got to play on top of that school bus.
I played drums on top of a school bus, and that is a scratched off bucket list item.
Move over, Tommy Lee.
Unfortunately, not for me. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. So we've talked about that. We talk about what is, what's that drive or the thing that you'd want to do. Do you have? And I know this is the bad question you have, but you have those roles that you're like, I ain't doing that. Do you get that? Do you get that very often? And without naming names, unless you want to. But what type of role is that we're looking at? That you're like, I'm sorry, that's just.
Anything involving spiders. I don't do scary very well. I'm quite chicken, actually. But if there was anything in a role involving spiders, it'd be hard no.
All right.
Not. With me, it would be anything not involving spiders. I need to have spiders.
I dig it. Yeah. As someone who used to own a tarantula, I dig it.
You actually did?
Yeah. Nice. Let me put it. My ex-wife, when we first got together, she had Spanish rose hair tarantula, and that stayed with us our entire marriage. So we had like 14 years.
And then it went with her.
Who got the tarantula?
The tarantula got her. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's a horrible. That got dark. Canadians are dark.
Sorry.
It's weird. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop now. Your turn.
I don't know. You know what? I'm sitting here racking my brain. I can't think of anything. I know it sounds like a cop-out, but I am genuinely interested. I think I could probably find something to love about any role.
Yeah.
I could convince myself.
But that is the like for most actors that's it, right? Like you put it in front of me and I'll find myself in that character, right?
Yeah.
What has been for each of you? What has been the hardest thing for you? What's the hardest role or the hardest part about being an actor, especially being a known actor?
Oh gosh, that's a really hard
question.
That's
a tough question.
Well, it's me and Geraldo.
Hard hitting.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I will say I don't do much on-camera acting anymore, and I think that came down to sort of just I wanted a little bit more creative control. So I am now behind the camera, and I'm an editor, I'm a director, and I'm kind of making things. But yeah, so maybe I did. Maybe I did just leave the whole thing because I wanted a little bit more.
And you find that more fulfilling now for you?
Well, it's not more or less. It just feels like I needed to express my artist in a different way. I just kind of, I just followed my heart, honestly. That's all I've ever done.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
I actually I can speak to that a bit because I took a long break from acting, always keeping it in my back pocket, thinking that one day I would go back. I was pursuing music and then some other things, and when I stumbled on the fact that I really loved writing and like indie producing for a period of time, it actually did ruin me for when I did go back to acting, auditioning for a role that I was in no way involved in the creation of, and just jumping in at this late stage of the process, and getting like a snippet of the script and trying to like figure out what this character is all about and not being able to really get into the thick of it. I find myself so much more invested if I'm in the project, involved in the project right from its conception. I find the auditioning process now has become very, not saying I was ever landing like everything I ever went up for, but now I find a lot of the time I have no real connection to the role I'm auditioning for because I don't know anything about that.
So if you are creating now, though, the times where you do create again, are you changing the way that you're delivering sides then to actors? Oh, sorry for the inside baseball here, folks.
Let's be like with the scale of the productions that I was involved in, we were never at the point where we had to deliver sides to people. Let's put it over there.
Fair enough.
But like just in terms of like, creating the script, creating the dialogue, seeing the characters and then mapping them out, mapping out their arcs. It was never, it took away from my ability to just get a snapshot of a character on a show I've played no part in, like whether it's already running or it's a new film that is they're just in the casting process. If I wasn't involved in the creation of the story or the development of the characters, it's very hard for me to just find that insight into, this is probably what this person's about.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
Love it. That gave you lots of time, just so you know.
I know.
You better have an answer.
So for me, I think the difficulty was, I put so much of myself into Ashley because I really was growing up alongside her. So when, Degrassi finished up for me, I didn't really know where to go next for a little while.
Right.
I did find that at the end of the day, when all was said and done, I chose to look back at it with an immense amount of gratitude, for the entire experience, for the love that we've received and continue to receive, the relationships that I've built and continue to have with people that I met 23 years ago, which is insane. And I've stepped out of that industry, and I just look back at it with this immense fondness and gratitude. It's something that few people get to experience, and I'm just so lucky to have been part of something that, like Mike said, is just so much bigger than us.
I think that's pretty awesome, especially the fact that you guys unintentionally, not on your part, but have imprinted yourselves on so many teens and kids growing up that want to be, hey, I got to be like this, or, this is the right way to do it. It's such I would have to feel it's like such a pressure and kind of an honor. Obviously there wasn't a question. I'm sorry. I just wanted to put that out there for you. You did have a question though, so I will let you ask that.
Paige, right? Paige.
Oh, favorite storyline.
That storyline where Jay and Emma get together, they're putting on the Dracula performance. I thought that was really interesting because that was kind of the first time in my life as a young actor that I saw, here are writers using Dracula, this 100-year-old story, which we're still reinventing continually. They're using it as a metaphor for these two characters on Degrassi. I thought that was so cool that you could mix like old literature and new television to tell the same kind of story. That was really awesome.
Oh yeah, we're all answering this. What he said. No, I think my favorite storyline and the most challenging one was Spinner's cancer storyline. I did as much research as I could. YouTube was definitely not as big a thing back then.
You went to the library.
But I was trying to be as honest with the performance to make sure that like any pain, physical or otherwise, that Spinner was feeling during that storyline was true to form, and I was being sensitive to the issue and wasn't overacting it. So I really did my homework on it, and apparently was well received. But I also I could talk about that episode, that storyline for a long time, but my favorite, my piece de resistance, I think, was I cried. I shed the perfect tear, the perfectly placed tear, perfectly timed tear on the side that was camera facing. Right before that razor touched my scalp, it just rolled out. And to this day, it might be the only tear I properly cried on camera. And if that's the only one, it will go down in history. Yeah.
Love it.
Nice.
For me, with Ashley, I don't know if it was one particular thing, but there were so many moments where she just did the wrong thing and made the wrong decision. And there was so many twists and turns in her growth and her development as a person, and you know how she started as kind of this queen bee and then did something really awful and had to learn to really build herself back up and grow. And then she unfortunately did that a few more times because she's human. But I really appreciated that, you know, they took this character that could have easily been kind of one-dimensional and really just humanized her in a way that to me felt really real.
Love it. All right, 2 more questions. We got one right here and then one right over there.
First off, it's very nice to meet you guys.
You
Nice
too.
to meet you as
Likewise.
well.
Second off, what's your favorite episode?
What's your favorite episode?
My personal favorite episode. Oh, jeez. That's good. I don't know. I like the street racing episode. And I will say, like, for me watching that, there's so much more going on. You know what? I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna stay with it.
Definitely a director. He's definitely a
There was
director.
an episode that I shot, and I remember. For me, it's like, because I'm in the moment, right, filming these things, and it's a visceral experience just being in the moment because you're just living the character. But there was one episode where I had
pneumonia and temporary. I was like throwing up in the buckets between takes and then having to turn on the sort of the Jay kind of charm. Everything's okay. And a look over here, smoke and mirrors kind of dance. And I just thought, I felt like a real actor. Yeah, really having to switch gears quickly there.
I think my favorite episode was Spinner's swan song, his final episode of Degrassi Takes Manhattan, and there was just, you know, there was a lot mixed into it for me because I knew it was going to be my final episode, you know, aside from a cameo or two that I would get to do later on. So it was an end of a very significant era. So it was emotional, but we also at Spinner got to do so many different things in that episode. Spent a lot of time with you. There was one deleted scene that we spoke about recently that reminded you of. I forgot already. The fly fishing. Oh, we went fly fishing, guys. There was a scene where Spinner's father passed away of cancer, and he had a moment with Jay where the thing that he wanted to do before the actual wedding day was to just do something that would remind him of his dad and have him feel close to him. And Jay came along with it, and that thing was fly fishing. So we were standing, you know, in a, I don't know, pit wave as in the stream, and the sunlight was coming. It was like, you know, a river runs through it or so. I have a good picture of that somewhere. I do have, but it didn't make it to the final. Anyway, like things like that. The final scene, the wedding scene, for better or for worse, because I know lots of fatties have their thoughts about if Spinner and Emma ever should have been married. The fact that we were all there on Cherry Beach, you know, and it was a horrible morning. Like they almost canceled the shoot because it was raining so heavily. But then it turned into a beautiful day, and there were like 15 of us there. You know, we were like a big house. It felt like kind of like the end. Yeah, it really did in a way, and it felt a little bit ceremonious and sad. Yeah. The true right off the sunset. Yeah.
God, you guys.
Sorry.
They should have started happily. I'm no bad. You want to win the spray? Real loud. See, we know how we need to this Dwight block of all your memories and trying to get real.
And I hate to be rude, but this was going to have to be the last question just soon because we have the next panel coming up. I'm sorry, everybody. I know.
All that is on the layer now. Don't worry. I said that.
Save us all.
So my favorite episodes or scenes were anything that we were together, like where it was full cast, anything in the cafeteria where we would get guys quiet down as we could put up, we're just excited. And it was the Degrassi minis, because those were such a really cool thing where we could be ourselves with somebody else, with somebody in the same room, like Pirates and Caribbean one. It's still a vibe file. Like, see, it was just such a ridiculous step outside of the norm, which is crazy because shooting a TV series is not normal, but it was a step outside of like the normal day-to-day for us, and I just found them to be just so much fun.
You've all seen these minis, right? No Degrassi minis?
Oh, I was going to say, you must have.
Some of them were serious. They actually filled in little gaps in storylines, but some of them were just for fun. Then we did like a spoof of Pirates of the Caribbean, Walking Dead. There were a lot of really, really well produced. Jay Hogart as a British nanny. So I was looking for more Degrassi content. Like, look up the Degrassi minis. They are very, very fun.
Well, folks, I think we got our full of Degrassi knowledge here. Do you feel a little more educated today?
I think that is.
Thank you. Let's hear it for the Hogart. Let's hear it for the appreciate.
Hey there, this is Nolan North, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Good for you. Very proud of you. Now go watch more. Oh, and have fun and follow your fandom.